Okay, I'll call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. And we wish to acknowledge that this meeting took place on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, Tumtamay, Wait, or Bell Harris, home to an ancestral village of the Tsleil-Waututh Nation. We're thankful to get their work within their territory. So, approval of the agenda, the regular council meeting of July 7th. A mover and a seconder, please.
Second.
So that the agenda, any discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll look to call the question. All those in favor, say aye, and I know that it carries. Adoption of the minutes, the regular council meeting, June 23, 2025. The minutes from the regular council meeting held on June 23, 2025 be adopted. Moved by
Wilder.
Thank you.
Barb.
Barb, thank you. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll look to call the question. All those in favor, say aye. I note that it carries. So we're on public input. So a period of 15 minutes will be made available on each regular council meeting agenda for members of the public to make submissions to council. Any person wishing to speak during public input period must so indicate by raising their hand. Each person will be permitted 2 minutes to comment on items presented on the agenda. Second opportunity to speak is permitted when all other interested parties have had an opportunity to provide their comments. Comments must be directed to the chair of the meeting and not to individual members of council. Public input period is a venue for submissions in the form of statements. Questions can be directed to question period at the end of the agenda. So, do we have anybody that would like to ask a question
Make a statement.
or a statement? Sorry.
Just why is it so crowded?
Well, there's a huge call. So that's good. You're fine with that?
Thank you, yes.
Okay. And there's no items on the consent agenda, so delegations and presentations, no items. Correspondence, no items. Reports, no items.
Oh. Wait. Correspondence, SAR, I'll move the item.
Oh.
More than one.
Proclamation, actually.
Yeah, no. Okay, but I'm not there yet.
Oh, I thought it was, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, being eager is a good thing. Okay, so we're now on 8, the correspondence proclamation action items. Okay, I'll introduce the item, the Coquitlam Search and Rescue, Tracy Crawford, fundraising manager, grant and aid program application is dated June 18th, 2025, requesting a grant in the amount of 500. So we want to ask for motion from council indicating the amount of grant monies they wish to authorize. So the motion will be that a community grant in the amount of add grant amount to the Coquitlam Search and Rescue be authorized. So do we have?
I'll move it.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay.
Through to the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
So if you'd like to put a motion on the floor as to what amount you would like.
Yeah.
So it would be the 500?
No, I think it should be higher than that, actually. I think it should be 1,000 at least. Like, these people do a lot of great work. Their equipment is very expensive. I think they're asking for a very, very minimal amount from us. And I think Coquitlam contributes a ton, as do the other municipalities that are served by this group. And I would say at least double that.
I'll second $1,000 and then I'll make a couple of comments.
Okay, so can is Ken here right now? Is he?
No. he's
Okay,
not.
so I don't have a worry about doing things, but we have a number that we usually go to. And 500 is, can anybody remember ones that are above 500?
Not from the top of my mind. It's usually 500, yeah.
Yeah, or less, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Unless it's, yeah, no.
I can provide some support.
Yeah, sure.
information, perhaps. So we did receive a request for 900. We did recommend reducing it to 500. based on our total budget in previous years for all grants being about 3,000. So it was representing, this one ask was representing about a third of our budget. However, we do have funds should council wish to support a higher ask, just providing that information for context.
Okay,
Yeah.
appreciate that. Well, I just think that this, this group, what they do and, I know it's very, very expensive, the equipment they need to do what they do, but they provide an incredible service. And so for me, I think that even if we have to pull from somewhere else, I would see this being higher. So whether it's 900, what they asked for, or, I just thought double. Just because they do a lot of great work and if you ever need them, that's nothing.
So I'll second the 1,000, if you move to 1,000, and then I'll make some comments when I can through the chair.
So did you move 1,000 or 900?
Well, I initially said 1,000.
Oh,
They
okay.
asked for 900, so, I would certainly wouldn't want to go any lower than that. That's
It's
for sure.
already been moved and seconded, that's 1,000.
Okay,
So,
Okay,
I think it makes some comments to the chair.
okay, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree with Councillor Riziki. Also, like we have a lot of trails around us and more. And many times when things happen at the trail, sometimes our volunteer fire department is triggered. So, and I do know that they work like injunction with them when meeting. So I think they've been great for the fire department and great for our community. So I will support the $1,000 for that reason.
Okay,
And yeah, and in my personal life, I always say, from my line of work, I always encourage people, and I've done some stuff through my company to do that, to come up with donations for them. So it's a group that I highly support.
okay, thank you. Go ahead.
And my comment to the chair is I totally support the $1,000. I know that we have a cap, but I believe in the past, we have never come up to the cap. We've always been a little bit lower.
Yes.
So I agree with Councillor Riziki that if we have to pull somewhere else to support this, I think this is critical. And just knowing what the cost of
Hang on
that.
for a second. There's a bear,
Lock the door.
yeah, and it's,
Your car's locked?
yeah.
Yeah, but there's food in there.
Oh, okay. You have a horn?
Oh, he's taking your car.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great one.
You can't.
Let's pause the meeting then.
the great Ford.
You're not.
Here,
Maybe he's a resident. Oh,
put the vehicle.
I put my alarm on.
Nobody got a camera?
I did, well, mine's. That's fine.
Oh, there's a bear.
Sorry, we'll be right back.
Typical Belcarra Council.
There's seats available, just as vitamins.
This is being filmed, right?
Yes.
we did not.
It's a bear interruption.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Oh, well, whose car was that? I took a picture, or I had a video of the bear.
Well, that one
It's a great car.
Not like, don't feel.
Who saw the bear? Jamie did, because he was looking out the window there and I got to. Oh, he was, when I was making it, oh, hang on, he was like.
We barely noticed.
I'm trying to look for that figure for you.
Yeah.
Stuart, be careful.
He's put his alarm on. It's funny, the bear was shaking the car.
He was just shaking it big time.
Did you see the
Oh, he's
video?
getting
I
a
sent
photo,
that
Stuart,
with
it's a
Karen?
great soul.
Well,
We are in Belcarra.
we're pretty rural, let me tell you. That was a big one.
He was coming to a council meeting.
Yeah. He was like, I want some airtime.
We didn't have any snacks out this time. Usually we have snacks out. What's going on, Jane?
Exactly.
And the video's still rolling, right?
Yeah, that's okay. These little interruptions.
Which y'all can see.
Thank you, Stuart. Great
Thank you,
soul.
Stuart.
Stuart.
Yeah, it is. The whole thing.
Embarrassing moment. Sorry, everybody.
I hope we didn't damage your car.
Yeah, well, you're right.
Your part there was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was mine.
There's a little bit of snoot slime on the.
Oh,
yeah.
Because her windows are open
So let,
a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
We've lost our mayor.
yeah, he's coming.
So Jane actually turned off. the
Still
video.
recording, yes.
Is the door locked down there? When I shut it, is it locked?
It should be.
What's that? Oh,
Sorry.
I'm not sure if the door is locked.
In case this happens again.
To whose car?
Any car. Probably mine,
Oh, okay.
If it happens to mine, let it.
Yeah, I was sitting
let
there
it be.
thinking,
So where we were, I was in the middle of my
Yes.
statement before you interrupted me. No,
no, fair enough.
Oh, no, listen, I totally support the $1,000. And I know in the past that, I know we have a cap, but we haven't reached that cap many years. And I would rather see pulling back in some other areas. Search and rescue is extremely important.
Yeah.
And this means, I'm a boat owner, I know what the cost of ropes are on our boats. And I'm, it's $500 does not go very far at all. So I think $1,000 for the region that we live in here is more than an acceptable amount for myself. So I
Okay.
totally support that.
Perfect, thank you. Counselor Elwood.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I hear all of this stuff and I get it, right? They're hugely important, as are many other, and our contributions are pretty small. I mean, I've said on foundations for a lot of years, and I know the budgets that we operate with on foundations, and we're in those budgets for a reason. And there isn't, in my life sitting on the foundation I sat on, hasn't been a cause that has come by, it hasn't been very worthy and well worthy. But when you post, a certain amount, as you're posting it out on an agenda to the public here, right? My concern would be that this is going to enable some other very worthy, maybe more worthy causes, right? I don't know, to come forward and to start making those adjustments. And for council who may be into that specifics. So that's my concern with it. And so it's one thing to up what we post that we're going to deal with, which is what the public say. And then it's another thing to go even higher than the request. And whether it's $1 higher or $100 higher, I think it's the protocol and the principles on how we deal with this should prevail. And that's, if we want to go ahead and give more than we've posted here, right, then let's get a notice of motion at the next meeting. Then the public see it. They all know, and I'm good with that. But I'm just not good with coming to a council meeting and making that change from forward. I don't know how that works here, so I'm still new enough to that. I haven't seen it before. I haven't seen a council meeting on the videos and the tubes I've looked in where I've seen this happen. So there are my concerns with it, and for those reasons, I would absolutely no problem with the $500 that was being put forward as posted. So I will not be, don't mistake me, I am as in favor as anybody else, and I get more annoyed than anybody else at the amount of abuse that's going on in that particular area and where it comes from. But it's a small amount, and whether it's $1,000, that's still a tiny amount. These are required huge dollars to run these services, right? Way over and above what we can do here. And so I think our posted number was what I would have to stick with. That'll be my principled position on it.
So I have a question to pose to you.
Thank
If you do that tonight, hold on the 500, will you also look to do a notice of motion for next meeting?
I would have no problem doing that.
Okay.
No,
Does
absolutely.
that bring us to ground? It gets the same amount of money, but it gets it in twice. Like, and your point is the amount that was there for
Yes.
people, but if you give a notice
Yes, then you know.
and then,
Yeah, I, no problem with that. That's my concern.
okay,
Just make a comment. I don't know what the plan is. Yeah, I understand your concerns. I really do. But I don't think, I support the $1,000. I don't think we need a notice of motion and drag this on more for that. So yeah, I will support the motion that stands.
And I would agree, simply because we do, I know we get a lot of requests for funding and whatnot. This one for me is, pretty critical, and I think that what they asked for wasn't unreasonable. And it's funny because I didn't understand that they only asked for 900. And when I looked at it, I thought 500, not enough for this. Maybe for some of the other things we get requests for, I may not be as enthusiastic about, but this one for sure. So I think that I agree. I think we should just go ahead and provide the funding as not only as asked, but $1,000. I don't think that the other communities contribute so much more than we do, and we still get the benefit of it. And when you think about, Coquitlam, I mean, they contribute a huge amount. They provide the facility, and I know they're huge compared to us. I get that we're small, but this is a pretty small amount to get the overall benefit.
Go ahead.
This isn't a given every year, every time, every ask. That's the other thing we have to think about. We review this each and every time when somebody gives us an ask, and we go yay, nay, less, more, and I'm fine with just voting on this tonight.
okay, well, I was leaning that way, but I certainly hear what you're saying, Councillor Elworthy, the fact of what came to the meeting was this, people see it. And if we do a notice of motion, it would just, the delay would be from now to next meeting. So anyways, that's where I'm gonna hold on that one, so. Go ahead.
You'd have to defeat this motion in order to do a notice of motion.
Yeah, well, we could do that, right?
Yeah, you could.
That's all.
That's the only way you can get the notice of motion on the floor is to defeat this actual motion.
Yes,
If I can.
yes,
If, through the chair to the Madam Corporate Officer, if this motion passed, there's no need to do a notice of motion.
That's correct.
Because it's already,
That's correct. Councillor.
can't do it retroactively. And by the way, although if I wanted to contribute more, I could. So as it wasn't given the appearance that we don't support this, because we absolutely do. as much as anybody else. And so by voting against this motion is going to give the appearance that there were, certainly this councillor was opposed to it. Therefore, he does not support this. That's just not true.
So keep in mind also, when this request comes in, they requested the $500, but there was actually no staff recommendation putting forward an amount. That amount was totally up to council. In the past, we've actually put forward recommendations. So for example, when the Heritage Woods School asked for $250, we would actually, staff would recommend that council approve that amount. At this time, it was left open-ended so that council could make up their own mind as to what to do. So this was merely a request, but there was no recommendation put forward saying that we recommend as staff that it's $500. It was a request.
Go ahead.
If I can, through the chair.
Yeah.
Thank you, Corporate Officer. Look, the document that's in front of us here says requesting that Tracy, whatever her name was, Crawford, requesting a grant in the amount of $500. That's what it says. Not that to request it, requesting a grant in the amount of $500. I fully support that. Fully. That's where I'd stop. Until I felt strong enough that I could give the public notice that we're going to work. What if I said $1,000 is very small? It's still not enough. We really should be going up to $2,000.
Slow there.
You're the chair, you could amend the motion and then council could decide whether or not they wanted to take you up on that.
Through the chair, if the motion passes, it's mute.
It is, most definitely.
Yeah. Okay, we'll look to call the question. All this in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, good. Thanks, everybody. All right, I'm going to get Melanie to introduce the next item, the appointment of the 2026 Chief Election Officer and Deputy Chief Election Officer.
Right, so the Local Government Act requires that elections be held every 4 years and that the local government appoints a chief election officer and a deputy chief election officer for the election proceedings. Staff are recommending accepting a proposal received from Lisa Zorn for her CEO services in the 2026 election. Ms. Zorn has significant experience as a chief election officer. She's responsible for conducting general local elections for local government. She was the CEO for Belcarra in the 2021 by-election and also the 2022 election. Staff are also recommending that Connie Esposito be appointed Deputy Chief Election Officer for the 2026 elections. Deputy CEO is required for coverage, and Connie has experience in this role with prior elections.
I'll move the motion.
Okay, moved by Clark.
Second.
Thank you. All right, good. And was a key second. Thank you. Any thoughts on this from anybody? Okay, well, I think she's, oh, you want to go? No. Yes, you actually can.
And just clarification, like, it's not often you get to do this and there's an election coming year down the road. So I just need to get clarification and for me, for my information and knowledge. So I presume that every cycle in an election that we appoint an electoral officer and a staff person to conduct these elections. Haven't been true before from a council position, so I'm just asking. So I presume this is the case. I also do appreciate the work that Lisa Swan had done during the last election. And I'm the first to say, admit that her talents are exceptional. And if we have to move early, and it sounds like that's what this is saying, because the election is till into another year, and October 14th, I think, right? And so, this is quite a ways to go. So we need to secure this individual now, based on her past, based on her experience, and we need to secure in an estimated amount of 12,600, right? So I'm just getting clarification on those points. I do respect that those who are more knowledgeable in this than I am, staff and others, they understand how this all works, and I just need that clarification, and then I can support this, I'm sure.
Yep, go ahead. Thanks.
So through the chair, you are correct. This has been our past practice in Belcarra to contract out the the CEO position. This is pretty typical in small to medium-sized municipalities because general local elections create an additional workload in the year of the election, and they also require specialized experience. So contracting out allows us to carry on our daily responsibilities. Historically, the deputy CEO has been staff, and staff have also participated in polling stations as well. To your second point about the amount, we'll make a note that our financial plan does include a budget for contracted services, and we have sufficient funds in the account to cover this.
Well, if I can, through Chair, thank you very much, Madam CEO. In that case, I can support this motion.
Okay, good. Anybody else to speak to it?
No, just a comment that, yeah, I mean, I think it makes perfect sense if it allows staff to continue to do what they would be doing without an election happening. Because I think that, you know, obviously there is a disruption, you know, so I think that that's great.
Yeah, and I would just add the comment that she's got a good record,
Oh,
not
yeah,
only
yeah.
here, but outside.
Mhm.
And she handled some, as every person does, some challenging issues.
And so does Connie. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
great at this.
No, no.
You gotta see her go at election night here. It's amazing.
Yeah, she's really good.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Look to call the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And note that it carries. Thank you. And then we're on to active transportation network plan engagement results. And that's Melanie.
Right, so this report provides a summary of all of the public input received from the engagement on the active transportation network plan. Staff are recommending that the report be received into the record for information, but this meeting also provides an opportunity for council to provide additional input regarding the active transportation network plans prior to drafting the final plan. Engagement was a critical piece to ensure that this plan reflects local aspirations and community needs. We had various engagement methods and communication tools used to provide information, to share information, to provide notification of the engagement opportunities and to obtain some feedback. There was a kickoff presentation to council back in the fall of 2024. We had 2 online surveys in October of 2024 and April 2025. There was a community open house in April of 2025. There were project boards and posters put up at the hall and at the mailbox bulletin boards. There was project and engagement information on a web page on the City Village site. There was newsletters and email updates, and also several meetings with residents and interest groups. So previous transportation projects in the village have faced some public opposition due to concerns about their scale and their financial impacts. So to address this, the Active Transportation Network Plan tried to focus on practical, context-specific solutions. However, the feedback revealed opposition to several of the design concepts and improvements, even with the scaled-back version. Despite the opposition, there was some support for low-cost, minimal-impact solutions, such as widened shoulders and or gravel walkways, trimming back the encroached vegetation on road shoulders, maintaining existing trails, maintaining and making minor upgrades to the foreshore trails, some crosswalk safety improvements, transit shelter upgrades, and speed enforcement. So it's important that we take this public input into consideration so that we can avoid spending staff time and effort bringing forward capital projects that will not be supported. Also, to learn from other municipalities that have installed improvements that were requested by the minority, only to remove them later when they were opposed by the majority of residents. So the input received from public and council today will be considered in drafting the Active Transportation Network Plan report and recommendations. We'll be bringing the draft report back to council in the fall. There'll be another opportunity at that time prior to finalizing the plan. Back to the chair.
Okay, good.
I'll move
Thank
the
you.
motion.
All right. Mark?
Second.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so any questions on this or comments? Go ahead, please.
Some comments. Thank you, Mayor Ross. So yeah, this is, as reading this report, it pretty much sums up what I knew from the community, from past experiences on this council. Yeah, I see the opposition. I do agree with what the report says, and I've said that in the past, so I'm just, gonna say it again: whitening shoulders, cutting vegetation, maintaining the existing trails that we have. I think it's always a challenge to me to talk about bringing new infrastructure, like new trails or sidewalks. Because we already have a little bit of a hard time maintaining what we have. So to add to the infrastructure, that worries me. It also worries me the fact that, if we were to build a sidewalk, that would be another thing that we would have to clear, snow clear. So it really accumulates the work for public works as well as maintaining the assets, so asset management. So I am, I'm pretty much with the majority here. I think, cut vegetations, improve the shoulder. When it's time to redo roads, like widen, like we already been doing all over, right? So I support this. That's what I would like to see, something modest, and also the existing infrastructure being taken care of. I think there is some rooms of the road in parts of Bedwell Bay that is pretty tight as it is, even for a car. And that's my concern, right? When we talk about sidewalks, we talk also about taking space away from the road, where it's already so if you're driving to Belcarra in and out, it can be scary even on the car, and it can be scary too as a pedestrian. So I do think the focus should be what the report says, what the public is saying, and also try to get people off Bedwell Bay as much as we can on parts that are more dangerous, because some parts are more dangerous than others. No, that's my comments for now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Any other people?
Yeah, just first a question and then a couple of comments. I'm curious about some areas of concern or opposition that were included. The accuracy of foreshore access naming. Do you know what that big question refers to? I had one difficult. Right.
For the chair, I
Yeah.
believe that was a correction made to some of the materials that were presented at the open house.
Okay.
And the correction's since been made.
Okay.
But somebody had raised it at the open house, so we get the naming correct.
Of the foreshore access. Oh, okay. And then my comments are just reading through the summary of the survey response. I think this, in my mind, really does reflect what the community has said. And so it's a great summary. So I appreciate that, because I think this kind of captures everything I've heard, since this survey's been out there. So I appreciate the summary. It's very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you, Councillor Rizicki. Anybody else that would like to? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, I mean, an interesting report.
Yeah.
How much should this cost? I'll leave it another day. Okay, a lot and the community participation was, I don't know, not bad, I guess, right? But so again, I'm just kind of slower than most people, so I need to find out where we're going here. And so what do we do? Do we meet now and we're going to put the final plan? There's lots in here. Lots we could talk about. Don't plan on doing it tonight, right? And we'll wait and make a final comment before I go there. But there's lots to discuss. And how do we do that? Through the chair, through Madam CEO. Maybe if you can help me with how we'll all get together in a special meeting, analyze this and put a final, however, in your hands. Through the chair.
So through the chair, the next steps are to take the input we received from council, marry it up with what you see here from the public, and reflect that back in drafting the report. So we'll be relaying this information back to the consultants to make sure that the draft final report is consistent with what we're hearing from the public and what we hear from council tonight. So to the Councillor Clark's point, we've got a summary here of what you're likely to see in that draft report is the low cost minimal impact solutions, and these summarized improvements just before the end of the report here. So that will be the next step. In the fall, you will see us come back with, it will be the consultants coming back with the draft plan So that's another chance for council and the public to weigh in. This was just an interim point. This is what we heard. This is what we think we're seeing. We're giving you another chance to provide additional input so that when we draft the report, it's consistent and it's what everybody thinks they should see.
Well, that helps the explanation, and just, I guess my comment is that it's, I recall the debates that had taken place previously from the other side when I was observing multiple use pathways and the grants that were offered to that and reasons why. It took me a while to figure out why there's such an opposition to what would look like to me a very obvious thing, but I began to realize that, and it's clear in a lot of the comments, and I'll save that for elsewhere, that, what do we get out of it? What do we in Belcarra get out of all of this, right? If it's for improving it for access, for tourism, visitors, and those comments were resounding through this report. I mean, whether I agree with them or whether I'm not is incidental. The fact is that they were resounding, and so I mean, short of gating the whole community, right, and saying, so it's fully understandable to me why we pick the lowest possible cost. Right? That's where the support is for anything that's like, let's just do what we have to do, the maintenance of the trails, a little bit of this and that, and keep it as minimal. And I understand that. That's taxpayers' money. And they've got a right to determine how it goes. And they are very concerned about spending that money for tourists to visit and enjoy the wonderful things that we enjoy living in this village here. But it's just, I think we've got to be reminded that that's why we are an independent body here. If we were attached to a larger entity out there, whatever that might be or whoever, we wouldn't have much of a say in this. They will be telling us what we are going to do and what we need for the community. And I think we've got to keep that in mind. That's the importance of the independence of what we get. But there's a cost for it, and that cost is in taxation, and that's what we have to pay. So there are my comments, and I look forward to the discussion. I support receiving this into the record for information.
Okay, good. So,
Just one final comment. I think, Joe, I appreciate what you're saying, and I think the input from our community is absolutely captured in this summary of the responses. In terms of the concerns around visitors benefiting versus maintaining our own trails and infrastructure. So I think it is all captured here, which is why I'm comfortable with this.
yeah. So I just wanted to make a comment on this, that when I looked at this, I went back to the full raw data. It was pretty interesting to try and create some things out of that. Like, there are people, and we know people are very attached to Belcarra, and they have strong feelings, and they often have strong feelings that unite and strong feelings that don't. So when I went through these, I actually thought the job done to pull these pieces here was done in a good way. And I'm pleased that we're going to have these, and we'll be able to have, it sounds like, 2 more points to make some movement. Okay,
I'd like to make just one final comment.
okay, and then
Chair?
we'll get ready to call the vote. Is that all right?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. One thing that I see consistently here, and I have spoken consistently in the past few years, is a lot of people do worry about the speeding of the cars, and unfortunately, like a lot, it's residents as well. But I do think we need, in general, and not just during the day, I do think we need some more policing if possible over here, and at night too, when possible, because there are people trying to party on the park, and this is like, we always have a problem with that or another. But I do think that this community would benefit from more policing around speed and just seeing, the RCMP more often here. That would be great. I think that would help further.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Through the chair, further to that, we were fortunate to meet with the RCMP recently, and they have encouraged us to write a letter requesting speed enforcement. And that's a service that they can potentially deliver. So that's a follow-up action and a recommendation from the draft plan.
Oh, perfect. And more, also, I would say I would add to that nightly visits as well, like,
Especially
Yeah,
by Midden Road.
especially by Mitten Road, by the park, like Belcarra Bay there. We get a lot of a lot of action there during the night, so
Yeah.
I'd like to see some more. Yeah.
So the good piece on the RCMP is, as this was being put together way back when.
Yeah.
You know, I went out one morning early, and guess who's there?
Yes.
Our regular person and another RCMP who I didn't recognize, doing it both ways. So you know where that part is, where it's the old.
I know where they
Yeah,
stay when they
Yeah,
come, yeah.
yeah, so,
Yeah, but I think we'll benefit overall as a
Yeah.
village, night and day, just having them around. I do see them around a lot in Enmore, and I do understand because there's a couple of school zones there. So it would be nice to see them more in Belcarre as well.
yep, no, and I think Melanie's indicated we're gonna go that way. So, look to, any additional comments? If not, I'll look to call the question. All those in favor, say aye, and I know that it's unanimous. Thank you. So we're on to 13 mayor and council reports. I will talk about these events here. Thursday, June 26th, the Translate Mayor's Council meeting. I attended that. And Friday, June 27th, Metro Vancouver Board meeting. I was in attendance there. And on Friday, June 27th, immediately following that meeting, there was a discussion, and I was invited, as was the mayor of Anmore and some other people, but we were invited there. And though, you know, there were other people that were staff and things like that, but it was just myself there and Mayor McEwen. And we've come away with, we've collectively got some work. So on Wednesday, July 2nd, Metro Vancouver Regional Parks Committee meeting, I went to that. And on Friday, July 4th, Metro Vancouver Air Quality and Climate Committee meeting, I went to those. So anyways, they were good meetings and
Sure.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so I have two quick little updates. One is for, again, anybody who might have missed it. Our Sandy Saunier made the media, and, you know, she's doing some very cool things with this tattooing program she does as a very specialized nurse on people that have had skin grafts and things. So when I saw this come up in the Sun and then it came up in the province, it was like very cool, you know, she's one of us, and I was really happy to see that. So I just wanted to share that in case anybody missed the article. And
Have to send that to the article.
yeah, for sure. And then the other update I had was for anybody who's ever run into this situation with a distressed marine mammal. I had a fabulous experience with the Marine Mammal Rescue Society. We had a baby seal born on our dock, abandoned by the mom immediately, still umbilical cord attached and the whole nine yards, a poor little thing. Anyway, so kept an eye on him, called them. They walked us through the whole process for 24 hours, which stressed me out incredibly to wait 24 hours. But they always worry that the mom's going to come back.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm like, no, mom. Like I was up at 4 a.m. with my binoculars. No, the poor little thing's still there, right? Anyway, and they were just fantastic. So anyway, 24 hours, called them. They said, we're putting together a rescue team. We'll come out. And I think we should put the link to their website on our website because they just do incredible work. So anyway, now they've got, I called them Solo, but they've renamed him Barry or something. I can't even remember. I'm like, really? Anyway.
Are you going to protest that?
And then they post the picture of them and they let you follow it on the website, which is super cool. And you can actually adopt the babies on there and they, you know, they have the different ones. Anyway, they were just amazing. They came out and I'm like, I'm looking, what kind of boat are you coming in? And they go, no, we're coming in a van. What? And they come and like in 5 seconds, they had this little baby in the dog carrier in the van. He was like crying. I was like, get him out of here. I can't take it. But anyway, they're amazing. So, I mean, if you want to know somebody to give money to as a charity or just know who they are if you ever need them, I was super, super impressed. And they, you know, I texted them today. I said, I haven't seen any updates on Solo. And they said, oh, well, it's now his name, I can't remember his name now, anyway, I'll remember it eventually, but anyway, and then they said, oh, no, his picture's not up there yet, but I just think they're amazing. And living where we live, we need to know about those kind of resources.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just my little shout out.
Very good. That's it. Awesome. And I have one more comment.
Yeah, go ahead. And then I,
Just tagging on this, I happened to us once as well. And the little seal was called Avocado. And they let us follow it, and then they let us know when they released it back into the wild. But as I just want to let you know, I did attend as a counselor. I did attend the annual general meeting for Ecom 911 on the morning of June 25 in Burnaby. There's been some substantial improvements with Ecom over the last 2 years, where I think they were drowning at the very beginning, but they have really substantially upped their game. And it was so impressive to sit in on the AGM and the updates that they provided us, and how well they're doing, and how many more municipalities have joined Ecom 911, and they're back in black or red or the good stuff anyway. The black.
I want to be in the black.
You want to be in the black anyway. So that was really good. I enjoy going every year to that.
Yeah.
So
and thank you for going to that. And I just wanted to make a comment. I grabbed that out too. And I've got to say that I was so impressed with what she did.
I know.
Like, and how she did it, and getting people in, and going back to a tattoo person and make sure she was doing the right thing. But that's pretty incredible what she's done and what she's been able to do out in the community. And then the other thing I wanted to say is when I go swim along all those docks, every time, with only the rare occurrence, does a seal not come up as I'm going along and give it hello, hello, hello. And they're very, very, they don't get too close to you, but they're always in there. And then one day they weren't there and I couldn't believe it. And then I found out from someone in this community that he had been given some instructions to do some things, and he helped birth a seal on the landing part, right?
Okay.
And I haven't talked to him that I was going to bring it up, but I thought it was pretty impressive. So we've got lots of good people here doing some great things. So
That's awesome.
anyways, I know Dana Fitz is going to be watching this. So Dana, you have to look at this article from the province of Vancouver Sun on Sandy Saunier. We need to put something in the barn.
Yes.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I have an update on my favorite designated committee. On June 26th, the Tri-Cities Food Council had a meeting, and I'm happy to say that we've had now a new addition to the committee. Might be interesting. Jennifer McKinnon, the new CEO of the Tri-Cities Chamber of Commerce, right? So she wasn't there, and but that's fine. There was a lot of discussion and there was a lot going on with regards to food waste management. And there was some wonderful videos shown of a group who's been hired, I think, by Equipment Council and with a lot of accolades by Merrick Equipment, Igor's, and his is called the Food Links Society. I would encourage anybody to look at it. You would see how they're rescuing food with these 3 trucks, but it's a tough business to be doing, and he's got to have, 400 volunteers here and there, just making sure it's all working. And you don't get all the support, according to him, that he should get from Metro Vancouver. I give you that to consider, although, this is, it's a big issue. And this particular committee itself is having a hard time just putting it together. So we do get a lot of reports on food waste management, on food security, and I try to push harder to say, look, because we don't have any businesses in Belcarra that we can, really contribute greatly. But we're all concerned. We have WARD, we have residents come talking about worm farms to reduce waste food waste going in to the ward. We have these, and they apply into the household and how we deal with food safety in the household and get it into the residents themselves. And so I have tried to push for encouragement in that area, but I suspect really this is more about commercial business, as my Councillor Clark, who's my predecessor on that council, did a marvelous job there. So, you know, in any case, it's something we continue to do, and I continue to fight on. And I admire the people who are working so hard to generate the interest in this, because these committees, it's very hard for it to get traction, to get, and it's so hugely important, an issue that the frustration level kicks in. So I did sort of have a discussion with the one trying to get it more out there, more into people's homes. Maybe that food link security, that I'll send that around to the councils if anybody wants. I sent it to our CO, right? So she had it on file. And if you were to see that, it would maybe tweak people. You know what? And maybe we can do a lot more. Maybe there is more we can do. And maybe I can go and be a more active participant in the Tri-Cities Food Council into the future. That's my report. Mayor, thank you very much.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah.
And thank you for doing that. That's great. Okay, so we would now move to the Chief Administrative Officer's report.
All right. For operational and administrative updates, our quarterly variance and strategic plan reporting is underway, and you'll see that information at the next council meeting on July 14th. Regarding the newspaper boxes, staff did follow up with Janice Clue from the UCI News Cooperative after she came to present at the June 26th council meeting. So staff followed up regarding placement of the newspaper boxes at the Village Hall and at bus stops. And they also asked if UCI will be providing the boxes. So Janice responded that she'll confirm in the fall, and thanks for our support. The ward paving is now complete. The gate does require replacement parts which are being discontinued or have been discontinued. So we're looking at a system upgrade and have started the process for that. The water main and hydrant flushing is complete. Crack sealing is starting soon for the roads. And we also have drainage inventory work that will be starting up shortly as well. And that concludes my updates.
Okay.
One question on that.
Yep,
So
go ahead, please.
the word paving, just based on, again, you know, some feedback we've had. So the intent was to fix the side that was not functioning, let's call it that. The intent wasn't to do the whole thing, correct?
I'm going to defer that question to our manager of municipal services for response.
Mr. Novak, thank you.
The chair, yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
It's essentially one side of
Right.
the road.
Okay.
Actual side.
Thank you. I thought that was the plan.
Good, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, on your newspaper co-op, right, John Hughes, I did my follow up, as I said I would with her, and I've been rattling some cages out there to see if we can get some funding. Yes, so some of the organizations we have worked for, I didn't get the request that I expected they would have. So I'm going to rattle them a little bit further on that. She did send me a GoFundMe site, but these organizations, as I know them, don't really GoFundMe stuff. They like to write a check and say, here it is in paper. So I'll have a chat about that, but I think it's very important that we do, and I'm glad that we're moving forward on the mailboxes, and hopefully we can see some additions of the publication badly needed coming into the village of Belcar. Thank you for that.
Good, thank you. Anybody else? Okay. We don't have any notice of motions, but we do have public question here.
It's all on you, Dave.
All of me.
Yes.
Dave Bourne, 4925 Robson Road. I read all 69 pages, including every comment from all my neighbors, and I was very pleased that I believe the consensus is maintain the status of the village as much as possible. And I'm curious, how does council interpret this and where are we going now? Are we gonna have subcommittees to look at all these different topics or proposals, or does it all go back to the consultants?
Well, I will answer part of that. Part of what it goes through is this council. And then the piece about going back to the consultant, we'll get our chief administrative officer to touch upon that. Well, good question, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want me to-
Yeah.
So consistent with what you heard tonight, one of the reasons that staff brought forward this report rather than consultant was to make sure that we are intercepting the information. We are listening to what the public has said, listening to what the council has said, and then providing that direction to the consultant. So consistent with what you heard tonight and consistent with the public comments, you've summarized it correctly, that we've got low support or opposition to a lot of the design concepts. And what we're likely to see in the draft report is low cost, minimal impact solutions. So we suggested some here with the widened shoulders or gravel walkways, trimming back vegetation on shoulders, maintaining the existing trails, making minor upgrades to foreshore trails, some crosswalk safety improvements, transit shelter upgrades, and speed enforcement. So that is the direction we're providing to the consultant. That is what you're likely to see in the draft report. So hopefully that has provided you some confirmation of next step.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, thank you very much then. Okay,
You check online for any questions received?
Yeah.
Hook sir.
if you want to check, please, Amanda, if there's anything received.
There's no email.
Okay, good. All right, so we have concluded public question period, and we are now at the spot that gets a lot of attention. Adjournment, who would like to move that? Would that be Councilor Wilder?
I'll
And
second.
Charlene at the.
Oh, maybe.
Nope.
No.
Now I know my place now.
as they say, she was lying in wait.
Yeah.
So any discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll look to call the question. All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Okay.
I mean, fine. You know what I meant.
Supported.
Whatever. I